The fact that they're talking about banning it is great. The fact that they're going to wait until 2018, I don't understand. I mean, there's so many homeowners, trades, mechanics, you name it, that are exposed to it on a daily basis, and I don't think there's enough education about it for the average homeowner. And as far as what you should do and what the costs are and the proper procedure to protect yourself from it.
And so tell me about that. And so in your line of work, how often do you see asbestos?
I would say, houses, we're probably 50-50 what we see. We've done a lot of work in older homes down on the beach and the annex in some areas of Toronto. And even newer homes up until the late 80s used asbestos in just the joint compound in the drywall. So, any site we go in, and unfortunately we don't show it on every single episode of shows, but we certainly try and educate homeowners. We do testing on absolutely everything before we go in and demolish. And the number of homes I've been into where people have said, oh, we took down all this plaster, we ripped these rooms apart, and we find out that there's a positive for asbestos there, it's shocking. And I would say it's about 50-50.
And that's the issue, right? Because if you just leave it there intact, that's okay. But if you're renovating and you move it around, that's when it can be dangerous and frankly lethal.
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, there's two types. There's the friable and non-friable types. So typically pipe wraps, insulation, up in the attic, if you've got, the insulation pellets that are up there that could contain asbestos, that type of stuff, if you even breathe on it, it will release fibers into the air. There's the non-friable type in tiles and building products that will only release those fibers if they're cut with a power saw or sanded. But the problem is a lot of older homes have this pipe wrap down in the basement, and people are storing materials and putting things in there, and that's disturbing it already in an area that is spreading air throughout your home. So if you're disturbing that kind of stuff around your furnace or your air filters, that's being transported all through the house.
All right, so a couple of questions. The first one, what do you do? What does your crew do? And what kind of suggestions would you have for people that are renovating or doing some demolition work?
Well, the very first thing that we do at any site we're going to do work on is we bring in an environmental contractor to take samples of every material we're going to demolish, to look around the house. You want to examine if your home is older, if it's got pipe wrap, asbestos-laden pipe wrap around the ducts or the pipes. Take samples of any surface that you're planning to demolish, whether it be a fibrous ceiling material. If it's a textured plaster, there's a very good chance that it contains asbestos. Any plaster. And again, drywall compound right up until the 80s, flooring tiles as well. So we have everything sampled. Those samples go to a lab. They're looked at under a microscope to see if they contain asbestos fibers and how many asbestos fibers they contain. And if it's positive, we have to deliver the news to the homeowner that you need to do an abatement to stay safe, to stay legal. And a lot of times it can be a consumer issue as well, because that could be a $5,000 or $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 ticket on top of a reno. But at the end of the day, your health is more important than that granite countertop or new appliances. So it's a very important step in the reno, and it's the first step.
Is it shocking to you that it's taken so long, that this has been kind of, many would say Canada's dirty secret, that this has, been legal here for years and years, when most of the industrialized world has banned asbestos for years?
To be honest, it's not shocking to me the speed that I guess that this hasn't been done with, and I think a lot of Canadians that are going to hear this on the news today are going to be surprised that we're still using asbestos. I mean, I think the general homeowner is under the assumption that this is a hazardous material. It's causing mesothelioma and lung cancer, and they're going to think that this is no longer used, but it is used quite widely in construction products as well. If we're making a decision to ban it, why are we waiting until 2018?
Because 2,000 Canadians die of this every year. So what's your message to people out there who are thinking of renovating their home? What are the things they need to look for and the things that they really need to be conscious of if they're making that choice to do that themselves?
Well, there's a decision-making process that I go through on the show Leave It to Bryan, but also in our retail and daily jobs. And there's a list of priorities we have to have. And the very first thing that we look at is safety. Structural integrity, dangerous chemicals, gases, that kind of thing. The very next thing is health. If your home contains radon, you would get it taken care of. If your home is full of mold, you would get it taken care of. If it's full of asbestos, that's something you need to deal with. After that, we get into efficiency, we get into environmental morality discussions, we get into, at the very end, are the new appliances and the countertops and things like that. So the very first thing you have to look at, apart from safety and security, is the health of your home and the health of yourself. And there may be 2,000 people dying a year from mesothelioma and lung cancer caused by asbestos, but I would hesitate a guess that there are tens of thousands more people living with COPD, living with lung problems, and all kinds of things as well that this also affects.